Chosen one, your name was called in heaven for sudden wealth this new year, not whispered, but announced. If this message found you, it's because heaven guided it to you. The angels know your address. You've been feeling a weight that others cannot see, a heaviness in your spirit that makes no logical sense. That pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. Your name was spoken in the courts of heaven while you were sleeping last night. If this message is confirming what you've felt in your spirit, don't just watch in silence. Subscribe now and type "I receive" in the comments. The enemy wants to block these confirmations from reaching you. Don't let him win by scrolling past your blessing. The isolation you've been experiencing, even in rooms full of people, was divinely orchestrated. You felt misunderstood by family, overlooked by friends, and questioned by those who should support you. This wasn't random rejection, it was divine selection. Pay attention to the signs that have been appearing. Repeated numbers, dreams of abundance, strangers speaking words that answer your private prayers. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmation codes from heaven. Your spirit has been restless because your name was being discussed in realms you cannot see. What looks like delay has been divine timing. What feels like rejection has been protection. What seems like being forgotten has been being hidden for your promotion. The heaviness increased toward year-end because you're crossing a threshold. The pressure intensified because you're being pushed into position. Your name wasn't just mentioned in heaven, it was highlighted, underlined, and marked for sudden wealth. But this wealth isn't just money. It's influence, it's authority, it's supernatural provision that will shock even those closest to you. Heaven doesn't select randomly, it selects strategically. And you've been chosen not because of perfect performance, but because of persistent faith. The unexplainable tears, the midnight prayers, the moments when you worshipped despite the warfare. Heaven recorded every one. Your name was called because you stood when others fell, believed when others doubted, and remained faithful when others compromised. The attacks that have come against you weren't random, they were targeted. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on non-threats. The warfare intensified because your blessing was approaching. Your elevation triggered demonic attention. Family members suddenly misunderstanding your vision, friends questioning your choices, colleagues doubting your direction. These weren't coincidental conflicts. They were confirmation that you've been marked for something they cannot comprehend. Notice how the resistance increased in specific areas: your finances, your health, your relationships, your peace of mind. These weren't scattered attacks, they were strategic attempts to block what heaven has already released to you. People have looked at you differently lately. They've sensed something changing in you that they can't explain. Some have pulled away without reason, others have become unusually critical. This is because the mark of heaven is visible in the spirit realm before it manifests in the natural. The dreams showing you in positions of leadership, the visions of abundance flowing through your hands, the random words from strangers confirming your calling. These weren't imagination, they were previews of what's being prepared for you. Your isolation wasn't abandonment, it was assignment. Heaven needed you separated to be sanctified. The silent seasons weren't punishment, they were protection. God wasn't ignoring you, He was insulating you from relationships that would have access to your blessing, but no assignment in your blessing. The sudden loss of appetite for things that once entertained you, the strange disconnection from places you once enjoyed, the unexpected disinterest in conversations that once engaged you, these are all signs of spiritual elevation. Your frequency is changing. What feels like rejection is actually redirection. What looks like being overlooked is actually being overshadowed by divine covering. The doors that closed weren't failures, they were heaven, protecting you from places that would have drained what's being deposited into you. The tears you've cried in private, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the moments when you questioned if God was still listening. He was not just listening, he was writing your name in the wealth transfer ledger of heaven. Your marking is not just for comfort, it's for commissioning. What you perceived as delay was divine timing. Heaven doesn't move according to your calendar, it moves according to your character development. The promotion wasn't late, you were being prepared to handle it. Every prayer that seemed to bounce off the ceiling was actually being collected. Every tear that fell in secret was being counted. Heaven doesn't waste pain, it converts it to power. Your suffering wasn't meaningless, it was material for your message. This new year marks the completion of your preparation cycle. The number of this year is significant in your prophetic timeline. It's not random that this word is finding you now. It's because heaven's clock has aligned with your destiny moment. Those financial barriers that wouldn't budge, they were boundary lines keeping you in position until the right connections could find you. Those doors that remained locked despite your knocking, they were divine protection from places that would have drained your anointing before your announcement. The conversations happening about you in the spirit realm have shifted from preparation to promotion. Angels that were assigned to train you are now being reassigned to transfer to you. What took years to build in the spiritual will manifest in days in the natural. Remember the dreams that kept repeating? The faces you saw but couldn't recognize? The locations that felt familiar though you'd never been there? These weren't just dreams, they were prophetic previews of connections and opportunities already approved for your next season. Your name was highlighted during heavenly discussions about wealth redistribution, not because you pursued money, but because money is now required for your assignment. Your integrity during scarcity qualified you for authority during abundance. The timing of this word is precise. Heaven doesn't release revelation randomly, it releases it strategically. This new year isn't just another calendar change, it's a heavenly checkpoint in your destiny timeline. The wealth coming isn't just provision, it's permission to enter territories previously closed to you. The fire you've walked through wasn't meant to destroy you, it was designed to define you. Every financial setback, every painful betrayal, every moment when giving up seemed logical, these were qualification tests for what's about to be placed in your hands. You weren't just surviving difficulties, you were passing auditions. Heaven doesn't entrust wealth to untested vessels. Your character was being examined when no one was watching. Your response to rejection was being recorded when no one was validating. Listen, I know you're watching quietly, just taking everything in, but chosen ones like you don't come across these messages by accident. If this is touching your soul, hit that subscribe button. Don't keep walking through spiritual warfare alone when a whole family of chosen ones is right here with you. Those moments when you gave your last, helped others despite your own need, remained honest when dishonesty offered quick relief. These weren't just moral decisions. They were spiritual transactions, building an account of integrity that heaven is now ready to honor. The pattern in your life of being the most qualified but least selected was protection, not punishment. You were being kept from positions that would have compromised your calling. What looked like being overlooked was actually being preserved. The financial struggles weren't just economic challenges, they were education. You were learning the value of stewardship with little, so you could be trusted with much. Your resourcefulness during lack was preparation for responsibility during abundance. Every loss that brought tears carried hidden gain that will bring testimony. The relationships that dissolved, the opportunities that evaporated, the recognition that was given to others instead, these weren't accidents. They were alignments, positioning you for connections that carry your assignment, not just your advancement. The fire revealed what was inside you. When pressure exposed what was truly in your heart, heaven took notice. Your worship during warfare, gratitude during grief, and faith during failure weren't wasted. They were investments into an account that's about to pay dividends. The testing of your character wasn't punishment for your past, it was preparation for your purpose. You were being qualified while you felt disqualified. Heaven doesn't choose the wealthy, it chooses the worthy. Those unexpected betrayals weren't random acts of disloyalty, they were divine interventions. The friends who walked away, the partners who broke promises, the family members who spoke against you. Heaven allowed these revelations before your elevation. Every person who abandoned you when you needed them most was being removed before they could access what's coming to you next. Their exit wasn't rejection, it was protection. Their betrayal wasn't just about their character, it was about your clearance for the next level. Notice the pattern. Those who left couldn't handle your growth. They loved who you were but resented who you were becoming. Their presence would have contaminated your blessing. Their departure created space for divine connections that will accelerate your wealth, not drain it. The painful conversations, the shocking discoveries, the trust that was broken, these moments weren't just emotional wounds. They were spiritual surgeries, removing hidden threats before they could sabotage your season of sudden wealth. What hurt you was actually helping you. The relationships that caused the most pain were revealing the most important lessons. You weren't losing, you were learning. You weren't being attacked, you were being alerted to misalignments that would have blocked your blessing. Remember how certain betrayals made no logical sense, how people turned without warning or reason. That confusion wasn't coincidental, it was confirmation. The enemy was using those closest to you to discourage you right before your breakthrough. The silent treatment, the spread rumors, the unexpected competition from friends, these weren't just personal conflicts. They were prophetic confirmations that your name was being discussed in heaven. Your elevation was visible in the spirit before it manifested in the natural. Every tear shed over betrayal was watering the seeds of your blessing. Every painful revelation was a protective intervention. Heaven wasn't punishing you through people, it was preserving you from people who couldn't be trusted with your next season. Listen. I can feel you nodding as you watch this. Your spirit is confirming what I'm saying. But chosen ones like you don't find these messages by accident. If this is speaking directly to your situation, don't just watch and leave. Hit subscribe now. God is connecting you to voices that understand your journey. Don't walk through these battles alone when a community of fellow chosen ones is waiting for you right here. The financial limitations that have plagued your family line are about to be broken through you. You're not just receiving wealth, you're becoming a generational pattern breaker. The cycles of lack, debt, and financial struggle that have defined your bloodline for generations are meeting their appointed end in you. Heaven has authorized you to rewrite your family's financial story. The prayers of ancestors who died without seeing change are finding their answer in your elevation. You're not just succeeding for yourself, you're succeeding for those who came before you and those who will come after you. The unexplainable financial barriers that seem to appear out of nowhere, the sudden expenses, the unexpected bills, the opportunities that dissolved at the last moment, these weren't just obstacles, They were the last gasps of generational curses, fighting to maintain their hold before their appointed end. Your consistent faith, despite financial pressure, wasn't just personal persistence. It was prophetic resistance against forces that have controlled your bloodline for generations. Every time you gave when you couldn't afford to, blessed when you felt broke, and believed despite the bank account, you were weakening chains that held generations captive. You've been given spiritual authority to declare enough to poverty, mentality, scarcity, thinking, and financial fear. Your name was called in heaven because you're ordained to be a wealth gateway for your entire family system. What stopped with your ancestors is starting with you. Notice how money behaves differently around you compared to your relatives, how opportunities find you despite barriers, how provision appears from unexpected sources. These aren't lucky coincidences. They're evidence of a generational mantle of prosperity being placed on your shoulders. The unusual financial wisdom you've developed, knowing when to save, when to invest, when to give, when to wait. This isn't just personal intelligence. It's generational intelligence being downloaded to you as the assigned wealth steward for your bloodline. You've wondered why you think differently about money than those around you. Why abundance feels natural to you despite your background of lack. Why wealth principles resonate with your spirit even without formal education. This isn't random, it's royal. You're reclaiming a stolen inheritance. The emotion you feel when thinking about providing for your family isn't just personal desire, it's prophetic destiny. The freedom you're about to walk in isn't just individual liberation, it's generational transformation. What God does through you will outlive you. Watch closely as your sudden wealth begins to manifest. Faces that disappeared during your struggle will mysteriously reappear during your success. This isn't coincidence, it's calculation. Not everyone celebrating your elevation is celebrating you. Some who contact you after years of silence aren't reconnecting, they're repositioning. Their renewed interest isn't in your well-being, but in your wealth. Heaven is warning you. Discernment must walk alongside your abundance, or abundance will attract assignment blockers. You'll notice subtle shifts in how certain people speak to you. Excessive flattery, unexpected generosity, unusual interest in your plans. These aren't always genuine connections. They're often calculated approaches to access what God has reserved specifically for your purpose. Pay attention to those who ask about your finances before asking about your faith. Those who seek proximity to your resources before proximity to your reality. Those who appear when announcements are made but were absent when battles were fought. Their timing reveals their intentions. The wealth coming to you will test relationships more than poverty ever did. Prosperity doesn't just reveal character, it exposes motives. Some who stood with you in lack will resent you in abundance. Their support was conditional on you remaining where they were comfortable seeing you. Heaven is heightening your spiritual sensitivity to detect what words alone won't reveal. You'll feel unusual caution around certain individuals. Trust that hesitation. You'll notice inconsistencies between what people say and what you discern. Trust that impression. These aren't paranoid thoughts. They're protective insights. Former critics will become sudden allies. Those who questioned your calling will claim they always believed. Those who ridiculed your faith will reference their own spirituality. This isn't genuine conversion, it's strategic association. They're not following your God, they're following your gold. Your wealth assignment requires protection from those who would dilute its purpose. Not everyone offering help deserves access. Not every opportunity presented aligns with heaven's intention. Your no will be as spiritually significant as your yes in this season. The divine protection surrounding you will cause certain relationships to naturally disconnect. Conversations will become uncomfortable. Interactions will feel strained. This isn't social awkwardness, it's spiritual alignment. Heaven is creating distance between you and those who carry hidden agendas against your assignment. The wealth being released to you requires specific protection protocols. This isn't just money, it's mission funding. Not just increase, it's influence. Not just prosperity, it's purpose. Heaven is instructing you to guard this blessing with spiritual vigilance. Establish clear boundaries around your financial discussions. Your wealth plans aren't meant for public announcement. Your investment strategies aren't casual conversation topics. Your sudden increase will attract both human curiosity and spiritual opposition. Guard your words as carefully as you'll guard your wealth. Notice how the Holy Spirit is already adjusting your speech patterns, creating a holy hesitation before sharing certain information, generating unexpected privacy around specific details. This isn't social awkwardness, it's sovereign alignment. Heaven is teaching you the power of sacred silence. Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. This season requires intentional information management. Not everyone deserves explanations about your financial decisions. Not every question requires a complete answer. Not every inquiry comes from pure curiosity. Divine wisdom will often manifest as divine withholding. Knowing what not to share is as important as knowing what to share. The wealth coming to you carries assignment-specific anointing. It's allocated for kingdom purposes beyond personal comfort. Protecting it isn't selfish, it's stewardship. Your boundaries aren't walls of pride but guardrails of purpose, ensuring what God entrusted reaches its intended destination. Watch for these warning signs that someone shouldn't have access to your blessing. Unusual interest in specific numbers, pressure to make quick decisions, requests that bypass proper processes, opportunities that require compromising values. These aren't just red flags, they're divine alerts, protecting heaven's investment in you. The consequences of ignoring these protection protocols aren't just financial, they're spiritual. Mishandling divine provision doesn't just affect your resources, it impacts your authority. What God entrusts isn't just tested by how you use it, but by how you guard it. Your spirit will increasingly recognize which conversations drain your peace, which relationships cloud your clarity, which environments compromise your conviction. This heightened discernment isn't personality change, it's positional awareness. You're guarding more than money, you're guarding mandate. This wealth transfer isn't random redistribution, it's kingdom reassignment. Heaven isn't just sending you money, heaven is sending you mandate. The provision coming carries divine purpose beyond personal comfort or financial freedom. Your name was highlighted in heaven's wealth conversation because your heart was highlighted in heaven's character assessment. You weren't chosen for abundance because of perfect performance, but because of proven purpose. The way you handled little revealed you could be trusted with much. This sudden wealth carries sacred responsibility. It's not just blessing, it's assignment. Not just favor, it's function. Not just increase, it's influence. Heaven will hold you accountable, not just for what you accumulate, but for what you activate with what you receive. The purpose attached to your prosperity extends beyond your personal needs and desires. This wealth will fund kingdom assignments, support divine directives, and establish godly governance in areas where money previously served mammon. Your hands are being trusted because your heart has been tested. Notice how your financial increase will align perfectly with your spiritual calling. This isn't coincidental, it's intentional. The specific amount, the timing of its arrival, the doors it will open, all precisely calibrated to fulfill heaven-designed purpose that was written before you were born. God isn't just changing your financial status, He's commissioning your financial stewardship. The wealth coming through your hands is meant to flow through your purpose. It's not meant to elevate your lifestyle, but to accelerate your life's work. Not to increase your comfort, but to increase your impact. You've been tested in financial wilderness to confirm you wouldn't worship wealth when it arrived. Your seasons of lack weren't punishment, they were preparation. Your financial struggles weren't curses, they were classrooms. Every moment of need was teaching trust. Every financial pressure was developing perspective. This blessing comes with boundaries. Heaven has already determined which opportunities align with your assignment and which don't belong in your portfolio. Some financially profitable options will feel spiritually uncomfortable. Trust that hesitation. It's divine protection, guarding purpose-specific provision. The emotional revelation awaiting you is profound. You weren't trusted with wealth because you wanted it, but because the world needs what you'll do with it. This isn't self-made success, it's heaven-sent stewardship. Your name was called because your assignment required resources that your current capacity couldn't generate. Your spiritual posture in this moment directly affects your capacity to receive what heaven is releasing. Position precedes provision. Alignment activates abundance. The preparation of your heart determines the proportion of your harvest. This positioning isn't physical, it's spiritual. It's about the condition of your heart, the conviction of your faith, and the clarity of your vision. Heaven doesn't release wealth to impressive resumes, but to prepared vessels, those who have created internal capacity for external blessing. The exact posture heaven requires is counterintuitive. Knees bent in humility while hands are open in expectancy. Head bowed in reverence while eyes are lifted in vision. This paradoxical position, simultaneously humble yet hopeful, surrendered yet strategic, creates the perfect spiritual alignment for heaven's wealth transfer protocol. Specific heart preparations are necessary. Forgiveness must clear pathways that bitterness once blocked. Gratitude must replace complaint in your daily language. Peace must override panic in your financial thinking. These aren't just emotional adjustments. They're spiritual alignments that remove invisible barriers to visible blessing. Prayer patterns that unlock financial gates aren't begging petitions, but bold declarations. Not pleading for provision, but positioning for pipeline. Not asking God to move, but aligning with where He's already moving. Your prayers must shift from survival requests to stewardship readiness. Actions that align you with heaven's release include strategic giving even before receiving. Blessing others from your need, not just your abundance. Practicing stewardship with small amounts before large ones arrive. These aren't religious rituals. They're spiritual technologies that synchronize your hands with heaven's timing. Prepare your spiritual environment by clearing old mindsets that contradict your new mandate. Poverty thinking must be replaced with prosperity purpose. Scarcity mentality must yield to abundance mentality. Fear of wealth must transform into faithful stewardship. These mental shifts aren't just psychological, they're prophetical, aligning your thoughts with heaven's intentions. The prophetic declaration over your finances is clear. Provision is no longer coming in drops, but in dimensions. Not just meeting needs, but manifesting mandate. Not just surviving month to month, but establishing generation to generation. The wealth approaching isn't just changing your bank account, it's changing your bloodline. I need to pause right here. I can feel the resistance as I'm speaking this word. If you haven't subscribed yet, I have to ask, what's holding you back? This isn't just another video in your feed. God specifically directed this message to find you in this season. Every time you pray for clarity, every time you feel overlooked, heaven guides you to voices that confirm your calling. Don't reject the very confirmation you've been praying for. Subscribe now so you stay connected to the divine guidance that appears when human guidance disappears. Your next breakthrough might be in tomorrow's message. The wealth coming to you will appear with supernatural speed. What others build over decades, you'll receive in days. What families accumulate over generations, you'll access in moments. This isn't exaggeration, it's revelation. Heaven operates outside of natural timing when fulfilling prophetic purpose. Watch for these manifestation signs. Unexpected phone calls bringing opportunity without application. Forgotten connections suddenly remembering your name. Doors opening without your knocking. Resources appearing without your requesting. These aren't lucky coincidences, they're divine orchestrations, perfectly timed to fulfill heaven's wealth transfer decree. Divine connections will appear without networking effort. People carrying pieces of your assignment will find you without your searching for them. These encounters will feel divinely arranged because they are. Heaven has already seated certain individuals at your table of increase. They just haven't arrived yet. The speed of this elevation will shock even those who love you. Friends will struggle to comprehend your sudden rise. Family will question the source of your unexpected provision. Colleagues will search for logical explanations for your supernatural promotion. Their confusion isn't opposition, it's confirmation that human effort didn't produce what divine election arranged. Locked doors that resisted years of your knocking will suddenly open without effort. Opportunities previously guarded by gatekeepers will suddenly become accessible without introduction. Rooms you weren't qualified to enter will suddenly invite your presence without application. This supernatural access isn't favoritism, it's assignment. Heaven needs your voice, in places your credentials alone couldn't reach. Financial systems that once restricted you will suddenly serve you. Institutions that rejected your proposals will suddenly request your presence. Networks that overlooked your value will suddenly recognize your voice. This isn't random reversal, it's divine repositioning, shifting you from survival mode to kingdom authority. The most startling aspect of this wealth transfer won't be the amount, but the timing. Its arrival will align perfectly with needs you haven't shared, visions you haven't funded, and assignments you couldn't afford. This divine synchronization will eliminate all doubt about its source and purpose. Your journey will shift from constant petition to consistent provision, from desperate prayers to destiny partnerships, from financial anxiety to faithful administration. This transformation won't just change your bank balance, it will revolutionize your belief system about God's willingness and ability to fund His own assignments. The emotional revelation awaiting you is profound. All those years of feeling behind were actually years of being prepared. You weren't late, you were being loaded. You weren't forgotten, you were being fortified. You weren't denied, you were being developed for a destiny moment that has now arrived. Divine wisdom for managing sudden abundance requires a complete renewal of financial thinking. Old mindsets that served you in scarcity will sabotage you in prosperity. Heaven is downloading stewardship strategies specifically designed for purpose-driven wealth. not just personal gain. Your first protection against financial mistakes will be delayed decisions. The initial rush of abundance creates decision pressure that wisdom cannot survive. Establish a mandatory waiting period for major financial choices, not from fear, but from reverence for what God has entrusted to you. Building the right team becomes crucial when wealth accelerates. Not everyone qualified on paper is qualified in purpose. Heaven will highlight specific individuals with both skill and spirit alignment, those who respect not just your resources, but your assignment. Their discernment will protect what your excitement might expose. Watch for these common pitfalls that derail divine prosperity. Premature public announcements that attract assignment blockers, emotional decisions that bypass heavenly counsel, immediate lifestyle upgrades that create long-term liabilities. These aren't just financial missteps, they're strategic distractions designed to redirect purpose-specific resources. The spiritual discipline most needed in this season is sacred restraint, knowing when to advance and when to wait, when to reveal and when to conceal, when to build and when to consolidate. This heavenly hesitation isn't indecision. It's divine protection guarding purpose-driven prosperity from purposeless consumption. Your peace will become your most reliable financial advisor. When considering opportunities, partnerships, or investments, your spirit will register either alignment or alarm. This isn't emotional reasoning, it's equipped discernment. The Holy Spirit's financial guidance often manifests as either supernatural peace or strategic caution. Generosity must increase proportionally with abundance, but with purpose-driven precision. Not all giving opportunities align with your specific assignment. Heaven will highlight where your resources should flow, not just where needs exist, but where your mandate extends. This focused generosity isn't selfishness, it's stewardship. The accountability structure around your finances must strengthen as your resources increase. Develop relationships with spiritually mature advisors who value your calling above your capital. Create systems that ensure transparency without creating vulnerability. Establish boundaries that protect purpose without preventing progress. Before you go, chosen one, don't forget, the fact that you made it to the end of this message means something. Your spirit needed this. Don't walk away without subscribing. It costs nothing, but it means everything for the journey God is taking you on. Join the family. Your breakthrough might be in the next video. The blessing flowing to you carries purpose beyond personal prosperity. This wealth isn't just for your comfort, it's for community transformation. Heaven has entrusted you not just with resources, but with restoration power. Your hands will channel provision that rebuilds what was broken. Lives are already assigned to your blessing pipeline. People you haven't met are connected to your obedience. Families will be rescued through the resources heaven funnels through you. This isn't dramatic language, it's prophetic reality. Your financial elevation isn't just changing your address, it's saving someone else's situation. Communities will experience revival through your resources. Neighborhoods that systems abandoned will find hope through your investments. Areas marked for destruction will see resurrection through your vision. This wealth carries Reconstruction authority, the power to restore what the enemy destroyed through the very one he tried to destroy. Businesses will be birthed through your blessing. Kingdom enterprises that employ the overlooked, train the underestimated, and serve the undervalued. These won't be merely profitable companies. They'll be prophetic statements, demonstrating heaven's economic principles in earthly marketplaces. Ministries will expand through your excess. Outreaches will accelerate through your overflow. Missions will advance through your abundance. This isn't prosperity gospel, it's prosperity purpose. Heaven isn't increasing your income to impress your critics, but to impact your calling, extending your reach beyond your grasp. The most profound revelation awaiting you is this: you aren't just receiving provision, you're becoming provision. Your life is being positioned as answer to prayers you never heard, solution to problems you didn't create, and hope for people you haven't met. This isn't financial favoritism, it's functional assignment. Your wealth carries healing properties beyond monetary value. Where money has wounded, your stewardship will heal. Where finances have divided, your generosity will unite. Where resources have corrupted, your integrity will restore. This isn't just capital transfer, it's kingdom transformation through consecrated treasury. The honor of being heaven's distributor comes with holy responsibility. You're not just spending money, you're stewarding mandate. Not just managing assets, you're manifesting assignment. This position requires both humility to remember the source and authority to represent the sender. The emotional peak in this journey won't be when you receive the wealth, but when you witness what that wealth does through your obedience. Tears will flow, not when your needs are met, but when you see others' lives transformed through what flows through your hands. New levels trigger new devils. Your financial elevation will attract spiritual opposition that poverty never did. Wealth doesn't end warfare, it escalates it. The enemy doesn't fear your money, he fears your mandate. He doesn't attack your abundance, he attacks your assignment. This elevated battle won't look like previous struggles. Past warfare targeted your survival. This warfare targets your stewardship. The attacks won't aim to break you financially, but to blind you spiritually, clouding vision, confusing priorities, and compromising values. Maintaining integrity becomes your primary spiritual discipline when wealth tests character. What you stood for in lack, you must still stand for in abundance. What you refuse to compromise for survival, you must refuse to compromise for success. Your no preserves your anointing more than your yes expands your influence. The warfare intensifies around three specific areas: identity, integrity, and intimacy. The enemy will tempt you to find identity in what you possess, rather than who possesses you. He'll pressure integrity through opportunities that offer profit without principle. He'll attack intimacy by filling schedules that empty your spirit. Standing firm requires establishing non-negotiable boundaries before temptation arrives. Financial lines you won't cross, ethical standards you won't bend, spiritual disciplines you won't neglect. These aren't legalistic restrictions, they're loving protections guarding purpose-driven prosperity from purposeless compromise. Guarding your heart when money flows requires intentional spiritual accountability. Establish relationships with those who value your character above your resources, who challenge your motives, not just celebrate your success, who speak truth when abundance whispers flattery. The most dangerous deception isn't obvious temptation, but subtle distraction, gradual shifts that happen so slowly you don't notice the deviation until you've departed from your assignment. Small compromises, slight adjustments, minor concessions. These aren't innocent adaptations, they're strategic diversions. This prophetic warning must anchor in your spirit. What you compromise to gain, you'll eventually lose. Principles sacrificed for profit produce temporary advancement but permanent alignment damage. Values exchanged for victory create momentary success but lasting separation from source. The battle for your heart will intensify precisely because your hands now hold significant resources. The enemy doesn't fight hardest for your wallet, but for your worship, knowing that whatever captures your heart eventually commands your wealth. What heaven is establishing through you isn't just for your lifetime, it's for generations unborn. This wealth transfer isn't merely changing your present, it's altering your future lineage. Your obedience today is writing inheritance tomorrow. Your faith is forming foundations for family members who don't yet exist. Your name isn't just recorded in heaven's wealth distribution ledger, it's recorded in heaven's legacy builder's archive. Generations after you're gone will trace their blessing back to the moment when your name was called and you responded with faithful stewardship. This isn't temporal success, it's eternal significance. The spiritual inheritance you're establishing reaches beyond financial assets to faith assets. Your children and their children won't just inherit what you built, but how you built it. The prayers that preceded action, the principles that guided decisions, the purpose that determined direction. These invisible inheritances outvalue visible ones. Heaven measures wealth, not by what you acquire, but by what you transmit. Not just resources transferred, but righteousness remembered. Not just assets accumulated, but anointing activated. Your greatest legacy won't be property deeds, but prophetic deeds, actions that altered destinies because you stewarded supernatural supply. The emotional revelation awaiting you is this. From overlooked to overflowing wasn't just your personal journey, it became your family's new normal. What the enemy meant as your disqualification, God designed as your distinction. What looked like devastating delay was divine development for destiny deployment. Your name is being recorded in heaven's book of faithfulness, not because you never failed, but because you never quit. Not because you were perfect, but because you were persistent. Not because you avoided mistakes, but because you outlasted them. Your legacy isn't flawlessness, it's faithfulness through flaws. This final prophetic word must anchor deep. What God has started in you will outlast you. The blessing flows beyond your breath. The impact extends beyond your influence. The purpose pushes beyond your presence. You aren't just building wealth, you're building worlds, realms of possibility for those who come after you. Chosen one, before you leave this moment, feel the weight of what just happened. This message finding you wasn't chance, it was appointment. The tears forming, the goosebumps rising, the heart racing. These are divine confirmations. Don't walk away without subscribing to this channel. What seems like a simple button click is actually spiritual positioning. Your next breakthrough, your sudden wealth transfer, your divine elevation might arrive through the very next message. Subscribe now, not because I ask, but because your spirit recognizes truth when it hears it. Join your fellow chosen ones who've found their spiritual home here.